Hi, I'm Josh, and this is a review of week 3 of the University of Southampton and British Council Understanding Language, Learning and Teaching online course in November 2019. So it's my turn to review what we've been talking about this week, week 3, which is online language learning and teaching. And I'd just like to start by saying I find reading a lot of your comments very stimulating, and I always learn a lot. And I hope that you're all learning things and thinking critically about what it is to learn and teach online this week. So this week we did start by asking you what you wanted to get from this week. And one comment I noticed was from Desiree saying she's not a fan of online teaching, but was wondering whether she might change her mind this week. I'd love to hear from any participants on the course about how you feel you have changed your minds or ideas about what is possible teaching and learning languages online. Please add your comments underneath this video. So I think my thoughts have changed a bit, and they always do during this course, when I think about the things that I read and wonder how that relates to my own experience. And I think Karin's comment about there being no distractions in online learning for her really got me thinking, because I'm very undecided about that. I'm not sure whether I'm more distracted when I'm trying to learn and do things online than when I'm trying to do them with people in the physical world. It very much depends on the circumstances, on my mindset, and on the potential distractions that are available. So I'd love to hear your ideas about what distracts you and how you control your distraction, and whether there's a difference between your online and face-to-face learning in those senses. Then I think we also need to start thinking, or this is clear from your conversations, that we need to start thinking much more clearly and in a more nuanced way about what it means to learn languages and to learn online and offline. Because in the question that we posed about whether it's possible to learn online and what the differences are between learning online, many people noticed that these days there are a lot of similarities and a lot of different ways of learning, both face-to-face and online. And it's difficult to distinguish these. So I think we need to think about the particular possibilities in any particular learning situation, be that digitally or in the physical world, and how these relate to learning particular skills, particular things that we want to do in a language. So if you look at the comments pinned to the top of step 3.4, you can see some of the different factors that people are suggesting are important, like whether communication is synchronous or asynchronous, whether it's through text and writing or handwriting or through speech, and how this might influence the kind of language development involved. And of course, there are also other factors that will influence at any particular time, whether online or not online, or some sort of combination will be most appropriate for any specific learner. And these might depend on their own circumstances, whether it's easy for them to go out to a particular location to learn, or whether it's much easier for them to learn from home, or whether they have internet access, etc. I think comments pinned to the top of step 3.3 by Bridges, Linda, Ainsley, Eileen and others reveal a lot of different situations that influence this. So is it better to learn online, face-to-face? What are the differences? This is changing a lot, and the factors involved need to be looked at in a much more nuanced and detailed way. Regarding the role of online tutors, a comment that I noticed was one from Linda, suggesting that ultimately learning depends on the learner's interests and them making the move, taking advantage of the opportunities we create for learning. And I think that's very much true online and face-to-face. You can lead a horse to water, as she says, but you can't make them drink. But of course, we do all, as teachers, do what we can to try and encourage our students to learn and to make the opportunities as attractive and as accessible as possible, and to help create a community in which we all help each other to take advantage of the opportunities. So that's one of the things when we come to talking about the role of online tutors that I think is very important. That's to create or help to create or try to help create an environment where everyone is helping each other to make connections and take opportunities to learn. And of course, that's very related to the conversations about connectivist ideas about learning, and how we can help each other make connections and how these connections are, in a sense, the learning. But I think here, a comment that Bordo made, I've got no idea if I pronounced your name correctly, I'm sorry, is very relevant, and that is the need to be critical. When we're exposed to so many potential connections, we need to make decisions about which ones to follow, what to learn, the reliability of the information that's being passed to us, and whether there are any other influences and interests in persuading us to follow these links and make these connections. So critical thinking becomes very important, and helping our learners and students to think critically about the connections they make. And in relation to that, there's a lot of digital tools that people say they use shared on step 3.12. So look at those critically and think, could these be useful to me or not? Don't just follow all of them blindly. But there's one that I thought was interesting from Katrina about using Trello to organize her bookmarks, and in particular to organize stuff that she finds useful from this course, and be able to find that easily and come back to it and continue her learning. So have a look at Katrina's ideas and see whether that might be useful for you. So I am going to finish now, but I wanted to mention before I go the Facebook Live conversation that Sally, Manu and I had on Thursday, I think, and that was fascinating to speak to Manu, who's been involved in this course from the very beginning, and to talk a bit about the changes over the last 5-6 years in what is possible online, and also to try to answer some of your comments. I know some people weren't able to watch it, but it is now recorded and available on the step. And Rajesh made a good comment there, which is, can anyone provide a summary of what was useful from that conversation? It'd be fantastic if you do watch it or did watch it, if you can reply to him and say what you found useful. And also we're very interested in any suggestions you might have about improving events like that and improving the course, or more generally improving online learning. So for example, Julia suggested that we should have more quizzes to review and revise what you learn. I think that's interesting. It's important to do some retrieval practice and review, but also it's difficult in a course where the learning can be so open, and particularly in a kind of connectionist course, if we want to call it like that, where we don't really know what the learning outcomes might be for any particular individual. I think KJH's comment was also really interesting about online learning and the certification of the skills acquired in online learning and this, and whether other people recognize it or value it, institutions, employers, etc. I have feelings about how we can help with that, which is to do with producing portfolios, demonstrating what you learn, etc. But if you have good ideas, please add to that conversation. So next week, week 4, we'll be talking about the future of English. I hope there's a bright future to use this language to carry on doing what we're doing together here on this course, learning and helping each other in a global community. And also, I'd encourage you to look back to the first couple of weeks, because there's still a lot of people joining the course, and it would be great to say hi to them and welcome them and try and integrate them in our learning community. So thank you very much for listening to all of this. I'm sorry it's quite long, and I look forward to your responses and to seeing you on the course next week. Bye.